If not for Japan, where else would you have gone to? See, this is a really tough thing for us. Since we weren't sure if we were actually going to be able to move or not, we kept thinking like, okay, well, what do we do? We go to here and where were they? And I think it was so stressful because it would always just come back to, but we still really want to go to Japan. Like, that's what we want to do.
For the most part, everyday life in Japan is very safe. Many people leave their front doors unlocked. It's not uncommon to see people leaving their worldly possessions on the coffee shop table when they go to the restroom, which, coming from the UK, always seems like a colossal act of bravery.
You know, the thing that sucks about Japan is that they're just a little too quick on the decision to make it harsh on foreigners. Yeah. They're a little too comfortable with making those rules.
They're always
they're like a little too like
is something wrong? It's the foreigner.
Never ever ever follow one of the touts into a bar. They're there to get you off the street and into a bar. And you might be thinking, well, oh yeah, it's obvious, don't follow them. That's a golden rule for not just Japan, but many countries. But I think a lot of people get lulled into that false sense of security, given that it is Japan, given that it is an inherently safe country. Now, the touts that target foreigners specifically are actually foreigners themselves. They're not Japanese, they're Nigerians.
They're just a little, it's just the speed at which they'll be like, oh, maybe we should just... Maybe you just discriminate a little bit. It's a little,
I'm feeling a little discriminatory today.
Because as Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau so eloquently put it,
a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, and the diversity of our country is actually one of our greatest strengths.
so why is it in Canada, if they call themselves Canadian, people won't question them? Whereas in Japan, if they call themselves Japanese, it's not accepted so easily.
But you probably don't need me to tell you that, statistically speaking, Japan is one of the safest countries in the world, with amongst the lowest rates of violent crime and theft. And in fact, this year, Japan hit a post-war low for the 7th year running for reported crimes domestically.
Japanese families encourage their children to travel to and from school alone every single day. By Western standards, Japanese culture emphasises independence and self-reliance from an extraordinarily young age.
If you drive through the countryside, you'll see these unmanned stands just selling fruit and vegetables. You just deposit the money in a coin box and take it away, and there's nobody there. There's a level of trust in everyday society that feels largely absent back in the UK, which I think is very sad.
Yeah, how was your perception of England going back?
I wrote notes. Very, very dirty. London. Yes. London is really loud. I didn't realize how noisy it was before.
Okay.
It feels like the same amount of people are walking around Tokyo, but in London it's less orderly.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots more homeless. The UK was nice. I feel like it's gone downhill a lot since the old days.
The number of foreign nationals living in Japan also fell by 25,000 to 2.7 million because of the tighter border restrictions. As we know, it's been near impossible actually coming here, both as a tourist and also as someone with a job lined up or as a student as well. The country's been shut entirely. It just seems a bit... It sort of ties into my frustration that the country's still sort of shut. And what we talked about at the start of the podcast, how now's the time, get people in. Statistically, it was believed that 250,000 immigrants were needed every year to try and plug this hole.
娘は、小学校が遠いので電車で通っています。彼女一人で通っています。
一人で歩いて大塚の駅まで山手線で新宿まで行って新宿から中央線に乗り換えて、中央線で国分寺まで行きます。
そうですね、はい、だって一人だから何でも一人で解決しないと親がいないので、次に道に迷った時とか電車を間違った時とかも自分で解決する。じゃないと家に帰ってこれないですから。